the way I kind of want to start this off was actually just a quick intro from all of you, if that's okay, like just 1 or 2 sentences and your name, just so I know who you are, if that's okay. And then I'll do a small, very small presentation just about what we're going to do today on my work, and then we'll get into it. I don't know the best way to do the order. I could just read. Would that be best? No, it's in alphabetical. Great. Dory, am I saying that right?
Hi, James. Pleased to meet you. Can you hear me? Great. I love Clo. I work in Clo. I'm totally looking forward to your session, especially because I like this flower thing and I'm so curious what you're gonna do with it. So, yeah, well.
Right, thanks. Oh, well. Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, yeah, cool. Thanks. Yeah, it'll be fun. It will be fun. Cyber Nove, is that right?
Hi there, everyone. Nice to meet you, James. So, my name is Gremiona Gonzalez. I'm a 3D generalist from Venezuela, based in Venezuela. And I have some experience, especially in the technical part of creating garments and digital fashion. I have worked with a marvelous designer, especially with optimization and simulations. And I use Cinema 4D as well, and other softwares like ZBrush and Substance Painter. That's like my basic to go, and that will be it. Thank you.
That's great. I admire anyone who can use ZBrush. Decentralize.
Hello, James. Hi, everyone. Again, I'm decentralized. I'm a metaverse architect, and with a background of architecture based in Milano. And I made my first dress this morning with CLO after the yesterday's session. So loved it a lot. Can't wait to see more. Besides that, I'm using Rhinoceros mostly, more than 10 years, but it's kind of different. But yeah, the interface is similar. So excited and thank you.
Great. That's so cool that you made the first one this morning. That's exciting. Gen Art Studio.
Yeah, hey, hi everyone, hi James. I'm Johnny. I'm a creative coder. So, like with regards to digital fashion, the main thing I make is generative art and generative patterns and textures for what's it called? Yeah, for clothing basically. I have absolutely no experience with Clo. So I'm mostly like, I will probably not be following along right now live, but I'm just listening in and I'll try to see what I can do after the session. Yeah, in my own time.
That sounds great, and I bet that makes some really interesting textures and materials. But maybe I think they're being recorded, so you can come back hopefully. But yeah, follow along because it'll just be interesting. Isodoska, Doska.
Hi, my name is actually Jessica. Isadoska is just like kind of the brand name. But yeah, super excited to be here. I've worked quite a lot in Clo. That's kind of my bread and butter, and then I do quite a lot in Blender as well. So very excited to see what we can learn from this session. Super excited for it. Thank you.
Janie. Oh, so I think someone's mic's not. Jane. Oh.
Hey everybody, I'm Jane Pearl, and I'm a fashion designer and illustrator. I worked with Clo, and I work a bit with Blender, so I also really like flowers, so I'm really excited for today's class.
Right, I love a good flower. Obviously. Jessica?
Hi, James. Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica. I come from a traditional art background. I have like some basic knowledge on Blender, but I've never tried to do garments, only like installation and other things. And I did my first very basic piece in Clo yesterday. I had no previous experience with the software, but I'm trying to catch up, and I'm looking forward to learning more about the software.
Amazing, amazing. I also come from a traditional fashion background initially. And then Jessica James Studio.
Hi everyone, my name is Jessica, and I work traditional. I'm coming from still in traditional fashion for work, 9 to 5 as well. I work with the point of view.
Thank you. I think I missed a bit there, but I got the gist. That's great. Joseph, do you want to go?
Hi, I'm Joseph. I'm a London-based digital fashion designer for the brand House Autonomy that sort of designs for queer visibility within digital spaces. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Great, we're neighbours. Callista.
Hello everyone, nice to meet you. My name is Callista. I'm from Finland and I'm a 3D designer and extended reality designer. I also do music, mainly focused on character design and digital fashion, and I'm familiar with Glow 3D and Marvelous Designer. Thank you so much.
Amazing, amazing. Kay?
Hi, James. Very excited for today. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm Kay. I'm a digital fashion designer based in Tokyo. I have a background also in traditional fashion and also musical theatre costuming. Someone unmuted? Oh.
Yeah, Dory, can you just mute your mic if that's possible?
Maybe she can't hear us.
Maybe.
That's all good.
Andrea, can you make sure your mic is muted? It's next to the headphone shaped thing.
Oh, there you go. Sorry. Sorry, I'll just quickly repeat myself. I'm Kay. I'm a digital fashion designer based in Tokyo. I have a background also in traditional fashion and also musical theatre costuming. I've dabbled in, I guess, marvelous designer, substance, painter designer, and a little bit of Blender. So very excited for today. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. That sounds great. Lucy. Am I saying that right? Lucii. Hello? No? Okay. I'll move on. Marcella?
Hi everyone, hi James, nice to meet you. My name is Marcela. I'm a digital fashion designer based in Lisbon. I work creating avatars and digital garments inside a production house, and normally I usually work with Clo, Blender, Substance Painter, and also Data Studio. So yeah, that's it.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Mika, is that right?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, Mika or Micah, either way. Yeah, I come from a background of electronic art, and I do mostly like 3D and glitch art and combining glitch with 3D and fashion. I have a lot of experience with Blender. I've done some like hard surface modeling of like shoes and stuff in Blender too, and I'm okay at Marvelous Designer, but I'm definitely looking forward today because I learned some new things.
Wonderful. And then Mickey? Hello? You're off mic, but I can't hear you. Oh, sorry, you're off mute, but I can't hear you. Maybe I'll come back again. Oh,
Can you
there
hear
we
me
go.
right now?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Hello everyone. Really nice to meet you all. And I'm Mickey, based in London as well. I've just graduated from Royal College of Art Textiles program, but actually, so I'm now transferring all my physical practices into the digital world. I'm mainly using Clo 3D and Unreal Engine to kind of and recently I found myself really interested in creating fashion film in Unreal Engine and also the VFX.
Sick. I love Unreal Engine. It's very cool. And it's super useful, like not just for game design, which as well when I discovered that. Celine?
Yes, hello everybody. So I'm Celine Chen and I was graduated 3 years ago from a fashion school, traditional fashion school, and I also study philosophy, choreography, and also marketing management. And now I begin to start my own brand in between fashion, art, and new technologies. And I'm using Marvelous Design and Unreal Engine. Voilà.
Amazing.
Thank you.
What an interesting combination of subjects. I think that's probably going to be something really interesting. Super.
Thank you.
Victoria.
Sorry, excuse me. We have the same name with Celine. We're two Celines.
So
And
sorry.
no,
Sorry
it's not
about
your
that.
fault. Can I introduce myself?
Yes, please do. Please do.
Hi, James. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And hi, everyone. I'm a multidisciplinary designer and artist. I have background experience in the graphic design field, in fine arts, and for the past years, I've been working as mostly an animator for musicians. But lately, I am really diving into mystical storytelling through editorial fashion lenses, and Blender is like my holy grail. I have some experience in Marvelous, and I have about like half a day experience on Claw. But I really love like organic and natural aspects in art in 3D. So I'm so excited for today. Thank you.
Sweet. Thank you, Celine. Again. Victoria, now.
Hi, James. So nice to meet you. So I'm Victoria. I'm based in Miami, and I come from a traditional fashion education and background. But I've been using Clo for a few years now. I also use Marvelous whenever I have to optimize for AR, and also work through Substance Painter and Rhino a bit.
Great. Rhino is interesting. I've been through that. Yinga. Oh.
Just me.
Sorry, I was like,
No worries. My background's in fashion media.
Yeah.
I used to do fashion design in high school.
Yeah.
It's kind of like just I guess, a sew for fun, traditional fashion.
Nice. Thanks, everyone. I think that's everyone. Is there anyone I've missed that popped in?
Just me. I came in late. I had some
Hello.
difficulties. Hi, I'm
No worries.
Joyce.
Joyce.
Yes, and my experience is Gravity Sketch. I've got about 1 year's experience in Gravity Sketch, and I focus on landfills. I look at landfill wastes in Ghana and look at ways we can dismantle production and find, not necessarily dismantle production, but find sustainable ways in creating. I use Rhino as well and Clo.
Super interesting. That's very interesting to me. Yeah, we'll talk about it in a second. Thank you, everyone. That's super nice. It's just so I have like a little idea. And for those who are really not familiar, do not worry. You can just sort of watch and see what's possible. Because I'm also going to be I think I'm also doing some sort of like sessions, like one-to-one things. So if you want to try and book in, that's fine. We need to figure that out. Anyway, I'm just going to show you a very, very short. Do not worry, I'm not wasting too much time. Presentation about some things I do and have made, and some bits of work I have done, just so you are aware. Okay, that's great. Now I need to get that into presentation. Okay. Oh, it's not moved. Oh, there we go. Oh no, it's gone back. One sec, sorry. Where's everything? Oh, that's really annoying. Why can my media not be displayed? One sec, sorry. Sorry, just one moment. Let me just. Oh, it's because I disconnected. That's my fault. Sorry. One sec. Off to a fiery start. Hey, there we go. I'm trying to share my screen. I can, and it should work. Yay! Okay, let's. Okay, so hello everyone. I'm James Mack. That's a photo of me with slightly longer hair and a few years younger, and some wonderful adornments. I work primarily in the digital space now, but I used to work in a physical space. I was never a designer, but I did art direction for fashion, music videos, adverts, that sort of work, which kind of is how I ended up in the digital space, because I ended up sort of specializing in physical and digital work. But more specifically about my digital fashion work. Oh, they were anyway. I kind of started in 2019 is when I started, and then I launched my first sort of mini collection in 2020, which was largely about using rendering software to create fashion that was zero waste, and that was about referencing the ethics of a brand rather than the logo. So it was kind of highly inspired by sort of general streetwear style and high street fashion. And as you may notice, these are not the wildest silhouettes, because I do not come from a traditional fashion background, and so I have no idea about anything pattern cutting in terms of proper terms. That then, a year later, progressed into a second iteration of this, where I was a bit more ambitious with the work, and it was about the lockdowns specifically around the world, but also specifically about what was happening in the UK and sort of some of the hypocrisy to do with space, as an example. So this one is sort of about the people who are left out by the welfare state, and another piece is about space. You know, it's all well and good to say stay inside when you have a garden. It's another thing when you're in a 4-bed flat with with 5 people and no outside air. So then that kind of was me as an artist exploring these softwares, and it was really fortunate and wonderful that it ended up turning into a huge part of my career. And so I've been able to work with some wonderful people. One in particular is Charli Cohen, who I work with quite a bit. And one of the really fun projects we got to do was for electricity, which was with Selfridges and Pokemon. Again, I didn't do all of this by any means, or a huge chunk. I helped with the garment side of the work, which was really exciting. And if you want to check it out, just search electricity Charli Cohen, and you should be able to go onto it. It is an online playable space. And then also another really exciting project I did not too long ago was the Screenware Report with Reiss, Reiss Media, which was essentially the largest at the time research put into the future of digital fashion. And I think because my work kind of straddles that ground between graphics and fashion, useful. These are also wearable filters, so I also delve into that. Aside from that, I am also a aside from that, I am also I also work on plenty of work for brands like Adidas and Reiss and Lazy Oaf. It's great. And I'm also now a university lecturer, and I lecture in emerging technologies. So that's a bit about me. That's enough about me. And now I'm gonna pop into the old Clo. So if you don't have it open, just get it open. And I'm gonna share my screen on it. So also, if you do have any questions, it would probably be best just to unmute yourself and ask me, just because I can't really see the chat super well. I'm not the world's greatest Discorder. Like, I work with technology, but some of it is a bit dodge the way I get through. So, Clo. If you are never opened Clo, this is kind of what it looks like. Today we're going to be using the avatars that are within Clo. I tend not to use the avatars in Clo, but they are like a really good place to start. I tend to go more through DAZ, or I create sort of other ones through Cinema 4D. So to get our avatar, we're going to go to the left-hand side where the library is, and you should see something saying avatar. We double click on that, then you can choose a female, a kid, or a male. I would say for today, maybe just stick to female or male. I don't, or do what you want, but it's not really for a kid. Now, if you haven't done this before, you may have to download an avatar, which hopefully shouldn't take too long. They are inbuilt to the software. These ones can be really useful. It depends what you want to do with your avatar afterwards and where you're going to take it. So I'm just going to double click there and bring in, we all have names, don't they? Fifi. This is Fifi. She'll be our model today. And the first thing I'm going to do as well is I'm going to go into the garment set and just pop on a t-shirt. So today, just as our sort of very basic base material, I double click on that. I can add that to avatar. Part of the reason I'm just doing this t-shirt is more because the technique is about the way to cut into fabric. The first half is, so it doesn't really matter massively what we are wearing for the technique, just to show how it works. So for space, it fits like a glove to Fifi. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to add a background image. And that background image is going to be one of the images that I asked you to bring. So if you right click on the 2D pattern window and you scroll down, you can see format 2D image. Then here you'll see format 2D image. And next to image file, you can click the folder. And I'm going to start off with my jewel orchid leaf. I'm going to do a leaf for this one, and then I'm going to do a flower for the second part. So these are just two different sort of ways you can work with existing organic shapes. Now, they don't necessarily actually have to be organic. Just for the purpose of this tutorial, this workshop, we're going to use those, but you can use sort of any image. If you're really into architecture, you can use that as the principle. If you're into dance, you can use the shape of the body and as the reference. So I'm just going to double click that. And you can change the scale here quite easily. I'm going to probably go for 125. I'm just thinking about in relation to the size of the t-shirt pattern. And what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to up the opacity, just so I can see it really clearly. I'm going to up it to about 90. Yes, that will work for me. Okay. So now it should be behind our garment, which is always fun. So what I'm going to do is just move things around a little bit in the 2D pattern window. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of lay my t-shirt over the image. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to select my panel piece. This is for the front of the t-shirt, just for clarity. I'm going to right click. I'm going to hit archive, just for now, so that we get it transparent. There are loads of different ways to do this, but I'm just going to hit archive. Is everyone okay for now? Following so far?
Hi, James. Excuse me, I missed how did you import the JPEG inside?
Okay, sure.
Can
So what I
you
did,
show it again,
yeah,
please?
yeah. So
Thanks.
I went onto the 2D pattern window. I right click, and I selected Format 2D Background. Now, I
Hi,
think
James.
it's marvelous. It
Sorry,
might
James.
be.
I'm just about to cut in, just because I think you're sharing like the program's doing this thing where it changes in and out of each window that you're working on. I think.
Oh,
You might
okay.
have to just share your whole screen so we can see your right clicking and like all the buttons you're
Thank
pressing because we
you.
didn't see it.
No, sorry about that. I didn't realize that. Let me share
No
my whole
worries.
screen. That is fine. Super helpful. There we go. Right. This should be better. Okay, does this look better?
Yeah, could you try right clicking something or
Yeah.
yeah, perfect, perfect. Thank
Oh,
you so
okay,
much.
super. Sorry about that. So, what we want to do is right click in the 2D pattern window, and we want to go down to Format 2D Background. Sometimes I think it's in either early editions or in Marvelous Designer, it might say Add Background, but the same idea. Select that, and then where it says Image File at the end, there'll be a little folder. You select that, and then choose your image of choice. So I
Amazing.
upscale
Thanks a lot.
No worries.
Figured it out. Thank you so much.
And I just boosted the opacity just so that you really see it. Then what I've done is I've clicked on my front of my pattern piece and I've archived it. This is just so that I can really see the details of my my leaf. So, what I'll also want to do with this particular t-shirt, because it was imported, it has symmetric editing, and I just want to, I want to right click on this pattern piece and I want to remove link editing. So the next part of this is kind of quite a time-consuming thing. So I'll start doing it and then you can all start doing it along. And essentially all I want you to do is use the internal polygon tool on the right-hand side. Make sure it's the internal polygon tool. And I want you to just start tracing the lines that you find. If you select, just select different parts of your mesh and follow along. Tracing them. What you need to do is you need to make all of these are connected. Make sure all of these are connected. Because when you bring it back, you will have these shapes.
Excuse me, James, can you repeat again how we can make our garment transparent so we can draw the lines?
Yeah, of course. So let me bring it back. So all I've done is archived it. I mean, there's a few different ways to do this. You can archive it, which is select the pattern piece, right click, and select archive. Or you can also go to the fabric. You could lower the opacity. And so that way you actually can see a bit more of the pattern piece itself. It really just depends. I mean, I quite like getting in the zone and just following the lines. But it's up to you, whichever of those works. You can either archive it or go to your materials editor and just lower the opacity. I think for this demo, it's probably better if I do the opacity. So all I want you to do is be tracing these lines. What you want to do is just be making sure, as much as you can, that they are connected. It's not going to work as well if these lines are not connected to each other. I'm going to do this for a bit and you guys have a go. And probably this is a good time if you just have any questions about anything in particular to ask. Because it is quite a repetitive process for now. I think it's one of these things that it kind of looks a bit like an odd mess at the moment, but it does come together quite nicely, I find. See here, I've not connected that, which will not be good in the future. I tend to find that nature has very interesting reference points. I mean, I'm hardly the first person to say that, but I think particularly when we're working in such a digital space, I think as much of a natural influence as we can bring in, I think it kind of helps with the character of the piece. Anyone having any problems? This isn't the most complex technique, for sure, but it can yield some really interesting results.
I have a question. Do they need to be connected with like several dots, or can it be like just one dot connecting everything together?
If I understand correctly, it can be every dot. Sorry, it can just be one dot. Basically, because what we're going to do in a moment is we're going to cut all of these shapes out. So they need to be able to be cut out. That's the thing. They can't just be lines in the center, if that makes sense.
Cool, thank you.
No worries. Because that's the most frustrating part of this. If you do miss lines, it'll tell you you can't do your cutting, and you won't know why. Like, where is it? Because there's so many. And it's quite meditative myself as well. It's quite a nice way. I think these techniques are also quite useful when you're kind of in a creative lull almost, and not really sure how to what to make. And I think they can just sort of spark ideas. As well, a lot of my work tends to be working for like brands now. A lot of my work tends to work for brands, so actually I'm kind of often recreating other people's work. So there's something quite therapeutic when I get to see my own work. Okay, I'm going to do one half of this, just so we're not here all day. And then I'm just going to show you what it does. And then I'll just do some less detailed, I'll do a less detailed version on the other side, just so we have full version. I'm interested what you've chosen as images. You can be sort of as perfect or imperfect with this as well, really, as you want in terms of tracing the image. I'm going to do this now, just so we're not spending all day watching me do this. Great, that will be. So let's hope everything's connected. So what I'm going to do, give everyone a sec to sort of watch screen again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get the pattern transform tool. I'm going to select my pattern piece. And if I've archived it, I'm going to unarchive it. And if I have made it opaque, I'm going to go to my fabric and increase that opacity. So first of all, I just want to re-render, refit. It moved slightly. So now what you can see, hopefully, is all of these lines. All of these lines. And what we're going to do essentially is cut all of these lines. And hopefully it'll work. I just see one there that's loose. Tie that up. What I'm going to do with the pattern transform tool, I'm going to select all of these cuts and hopefully all of these lines, all of these internal lines, and hopefully, if everything's gone all right, they should be able to be cut and sewed. Some endpoints are not properly extended. Would you like to continue extending? I'm going to hit yes. Again, this is a process which you want to spend more time on and really finessing, but for now, I'm just going to cut them. Ah, great. Of course. If you are having troubles with some of them not working, you might want to individually deal with these, which obviously is not the dream. But you can select them individually either with the edit pattern tool or the transform pattern tool. And just do them in small chunks. Let's do this side. It's simple. Start finding them, cutting and saying. Clearly, I've done not a wonderful job on the right-hand side. I'll grab the whole pack. It's going to struggle. I don't think it's all right. Let's see. There you go. So cool. Let's try a few more over here. This is simple. Match a few of these more lines up. Oh, it's doing a great job. Why not? That's it. It's fine. It's just so we can demo this at least. Get these intersecting. Right, let's pull the day. Since I just want to show how it's going to work. Okay, so we're going to focus on the left side because those cuts are much better. And what you can see is it's already started to do is just give you a bit of definition in whatever you've created and split into these panels. But what I really like about Flow is being able to really play with these panels and make them really evident. So if we go to the Edit Sewing tool in our toolbar on the right, and then what we can do is we can select all of these sewing sections. Probably the only parts we don't want are the sleeve. So I'm going to hold Shift and just deselect where the sleeve is sewn. If I hold Shift, it just removes it. And then if I do the same for the shoulders and for the neckline, because we don't really want this effect to be on those parts of the garment. So what we're going to do now that we have that selected is go to the right-hand side where we have our property editor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch on tension. So tension, generally, I would use it more for something like if I was working with denim and I wanted to create the look of denim when it's been washed. But I also think it can be really useful in creating evident paneling in a garment. What I would do is generally, if you wanted denim, you would go for under tension. You would change the strength to 3 and the ratio to 97. And then if you were to press space on the 3D window, you would start to see these bucklings. What I'm going to do is also just increase the particle distance here so you can see it a bit smoother. Yeah. And it starts to create these I think, quite interesting panel sections. Now, if we go back, oh, whoops, 3D, sorry. If we select our sewing again, remembering to deselect our arms and shoulders and neck. We can work with the 3D seam line in our property editor. And what this is essentially is it's using a normal map to fake a bit more of this depth and a bit more of that chunkiness that I'm trying to get. So I'm going to boost that intensity to 30 and the thickness to say 5. Again, this is similar to what you'd use for denim. If you want even more pronounced lines, you can increase these numbers. If you want, if you don't want them as evident, you can lower them. So here we go. We've got these really pronounced seam lines. I think this can be a really subtle way to add paneling, because generally when I see paneling, it tends to be about changing fabrics, and I think it can look really chic if a garment is one panel in the same color. Okay, is everyone sort of following along? Has anyone managed to make anything? No? This is also a really fun technique. So you've got one way of using it, which is for the seam lines. Another really great way to use it is if you are doing a puffer jacket, and you could use these cuts and lines as reference for the puffer. So in order to turn this into a puffer jacket, well, a puffer t-shirt, sorry, it's quite a simple process. So what I would do is I would select all my garment pieces that I want to have inflation to be wadded. I would right click, and I would select layer clone over. Then I will select above, which will just place it. So basically now our garment has 2 layers stacked upon each other of fabric. And the one on top is our top layer. What I'm doing now is select my top layer, just my top layer, go to property editor, and if I scroll down, I can get to pressure. The pressure's here. And I'm going to change that to, so that'll give it sort of 10 pressure. If I select my layer underneath, scroll down to pressure. Where's pressure? What's it called? Oh, there it is. And this time I want the same number, but the negative. So I want -10. Now, if we simulate, it'll just make these sections even more pronounced. Now, again, this can be a really cool technique to use with a puffer jacket if you wanted to do that. Also nice, I always like just checking things in the render view, because I think they're never quite the same. Let me just switch off simulation, check the render view. Yeah. I think it gives some really nice details. If I just go back a bit as well, I want to see it in the render view when it wasn't a puffer. There we go, it looks like this. Like that. And then goes the render view. Yeah, so we just have this really specific detailing that I think can really help with the garments. Okay, super. So I'll just give you 2 minutes if you want to keep having a little play with that, and then we will do oh dear. And then we'll do the way to use a different flower. I'm just going to pop 1 second to pop and grab some water.
Hey everyone, how's everyone finding the workshop so far? If you'd like to share your progress with making your garment, feel free to post it in the chat. Yeah, love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, I'd love to see if anyone's made anything.
Sorry, James, if you're speaking, you might be muted.
Yeah, no, sorry, I was just reading the message. Thanks.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, so if you are having that, oh yes, that's always good. That's a good reminder. So, if you're having that issue, then it's asking you to decrease the particle distance. So what I would do is I would decrease your particle distance, and the way you would do that is you would select all your pattern pieces, and then in the property editor, you'll be able to find particle distance. And if you decrease it in there, it should hopefully work with that. It's not something I've really seen before, to be completely honest. Hey! Okay, okay. That looks really cool. Have you affected the seam line? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I bet it'll look really interesting in the render view as well. You put a heart next to it. Okay. Okay, cool. In just 2 minutes, I'll go into the next part. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, cool. Okay. What flower is that? Oh, I can't see behind. Yeah, that looks really interesting.
Sorry, it was a lotus flower back then, but I was using a sketch line. You know, the ones you see in the blue ones there.
Yeah.
And I couldn't cut it. Then I just drove that, that stuff very quickly. But yeah, it worked. Yeah.
Good. Good. It's looking good. Cool. I'm glad it's actually working. It can be a bit frustrating this sometimes when lines don't match up. Because I'm doing it right kind of quickly, so I can we can go through as much as possible. But it is a really effective technique to sort of developing, yeah, a really interesting paneling and unique silhouettes. Okay. Does anyone have a specific issue, or if not, I'm gonna start doing the next part. So if you want to save these, and then you can come back to them later. I'm going to start with a new file. No, go on. Red. Right, one sec. Celine, let me see that. Are the red outlines stick? No, the red ones are not. That looks really cool though. The red ones are not. And it's not as much of an issue with when you're working with a puffer though. But when you're working with a puffer, it sews them to the other side of the puffer. But if you wanted to use that specifically for the seam line, then it wouldn't work. But for the puffer, it absolutely works. I'm getting error too. What's your error? Yes, that's the error I was getting because I didn't do the greatest job of actually drawing them up. It basically is referring to like your lines not matching up. So either the anchor point doesn't connect with another anchor point, it's intersecting, so it's unable to cut through that specific line and shape. And for that one, the solution is more redo the line, unfortunately. Super. And then just, I think someone else.
Sorry, James, can you show that on screen, like how to fix a problem?
Which problem?
The intersecting lines. I think you said redraw the line, but is there a way to like move the points around?
Yes, yeah. Okay, let me do that. Oh, I've done the thing where I share the whole. One sec. Share whole screen. Okay, so let me come over here. Cool. So basically, what it is, problem is, so say, let me find one that doesn't work. Oh, great, that one works. This one. Thing is, it can be quite a variety of things, so it gets complicated. So let's try some. Okay, this one doesn't work. The reason this one isn't working is because this right here is really small. I don't know if you can see it. Basically, I believe this is why this one isn't working, because of this overlapping section here, because it can't cut that small. So what I can do is I can select that anchor point and pull it out, that it's no longer overlapping. Hopefully, we will see, because there may be more than one issue in this one. That should resolve it. Okay. I think it's also potentially the fact that this is extending so much. So if I pull this back and match those two anchor points up, nope, of course not. Why would it be that simple? So this potentially that they are so close together at the end of the fabric. Nope. See if I just do certain sections. So that section is okay. So you can do smaller sections, figure out where the problem is. The problem's still over here. And there. So what in this case I would do is remove these lines and go back to this editor. I'm going to copy that style of shape that I just had. This one here is not saying either, so let me cut it. That's not working. Great. A lot of issues on mine. Right. Let's get rid of that. And go to internal line. It's a bit of sort of, yeah, figuring it out, because there can be quite a few issues. There we go. It's a bit of trial and error. I mean, the best way to do it is when you are doing this, just paying a lot of attention to how you're placing your lines. Again, I've gone through this quite quickly so we could show it, but yeah, you want to pay more attention ideally. Cool. Cool. I'm going to do the next part just because like we don't have the most amount of time. And this will be recorded so you can go over it. Hopefully. Super. So if you want to follow along or just watch, that is absolutely fine. But if you want to follow along, save your file, and we're going to start a new file now. So if I share my screen rather than, there we go. Amazing. Here we go. Fabby dabby dozy. I'm not going to keep this right now. It was just a demo, so I'm just going to go file, new project, and no, I'm not this. As lovely as it is. If we start again and we bring in our avatar, bring in Fifi again, my avatar of choice, apparently. And this time what we're going to do is rather than work with a base garment, we're going to use the image. You can use the same image if you want. You can use a different image to become our actual pattern pieces. So if we go to the 2D pattern window, we right click and we select Format 2D Background. Then where it says image file at the end, we select the folder. And this time I'm going to bring in this orchid petal. I love these orchids. I'm not the only one, to be fair. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale this one up quite a bit because I want to sort of create a sort of almost a dress with it if I can. So maybe 300. Yeah. I'm gonna in the first section we kind of already had a template and then we worked off it, whereas this one we are actually creating the pattern pieces. So what we want to do this time is use the polygon tool again, but this, sorry, not the internal polygon tool. We want to use the polygon tool and we want to actually trace this shape. Got ourselves a leaf. Petal even. Sorry. I'm gonna copy. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trace a few different parts of this. Was that a question? One sec. Let me just get some of this. Oh, that's not. Ignore me. Yeah, I'm just going to trace a few different parts. And what I'm going to do for the parts that I can't see in this particular image is I'm just going to kind of guesstimate. So I kind of know that it's a similar shape. This one, I'm going to make an imagined sort of curve to it. And depending on all the different details in your image, you can choose as much or as little to trace. You can just take one of these pieces and just start repeating it. And again, I'm doing this kind of quickly, whereas I should really pay more attention. But it's just that I can get a load of different pattern pieces, and then I can start having a play. Okay, I'm going to do that for now. So now, what I want to do is I want to spread these pattern pieces out. So I've got that, got that, got that. And I want to start thinking how they're going to go together. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select them all. So I'm going to grab and select them all. And I'm going to do what I did in the first part. I'm going to archive them because I want to work with them bit by bit. And I want to bring them in part by part, piece by piece. So I'm going to start off with one of these large petals. I'm going to unarchive it, so I've got it to play. And then I'm going to start considering how this is going to fit on the body. So I don't come from a traditional fashion background, as I may have mentioned. So in terms of pattern cutting, I don't really know what I'm doing, but a way I tend to work with it quite a lot is a way of draping. So what I want to do is I want to use the pressure tool, which I used before. So when I used the pressure tool before, it was to create a puffer jacket. And here, I'm going to use it almost like a magnet to suck it to the skin. So this piece, this piece that's based off the petal, that is now a piece of my garment, a pattern piece. I'm going to select it. I'm going to go to my property editor. I'm going to set my pressure to -10. So when I simulate, it kind of wraps around the body. Okay. So what I mean, if you like that, then you would figure out a way to sew that together. I think it's quite interesting, but I might have another go. I might hide her up for it. So that's kind of way more interesting to me. Okay. So this part is largely about how to think about what you want to create. So if I wanted to say the same shape on the back, I could copy and paste that pattern piece. Sorry, whoops. And what I would do is I'd then place that here. I would flip my normals. So for those of you who are quite new to this, you kind of want to make sure you flip your normal just so that when you take it into the softwares, it's all working. And then simulate again. I'm not a huge fan of that. Bring it down. No, I don't like that.
Excuse me, sorry,
Hello.
James. How did you make for the garment to, instead of fall, like gravity, stick to the body?
Yeah.
I
So what
missed
I
that
did,
part.
don't worry. Sorry, I might be going slightly fast. I just want to get through it. If you select your petal, if you select your pattern piece in the 2D editor, then in the property editor on the right-hand side, I have changed the pressure and I've made it -10. So that basically will suck it to the body. If you are working on the back, you might need to do +10 if you haven't flipped the normals. That's the only thing that maybe could be complicated. Has that worked?
Hey James, I was trying to do something on shoulder. What should be the pressure for the shoulder then?
Ah, the shoulder. Okay, this is more of a body part, essentially, unless if you're trying to do shoulder down, is that what you're trying to do? Like sort of fall down onto the shoulder.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. It's more of a technique for the actual body, this, I would say. It's going to be more of a struggle there. What you would want to do there is, I would say, have no pressure.
Okay.
And
That to fall there directly then.
yeah, and let it just fall. Oops, that was a bit fast. And sort of pause it as much as you can. It's just about getting shape at this point, because I'm going to put this back on and I'll go on to the next part. And all I want to do, I don't really like what's going on at the back, so I'm just going to put a strap in so this can all stay upright. So in the 3D view, you can select the pattern piece and it will show a dot on your 2D pattern window. And I want to use that as the reference of where I want it to set. But that is there. So if now I had an internal line based off this dot, that's not going the right way then. better. That internal line there. And what I can do is find somewhere else on the other side. What I want to do, sorry, is I want to copy that internal line and then go to the other side and try and find another place where I can add my strap loop. Sorry, let's get rid. So if I copy that, paste it, and bring it to the other side, and then I just need to move it around a wee bit. Along here, no, along here, yeah, along there. And what I want to do is I'm going to sew these two parts together by creating a new shape. I'm doing this kind of roughly and quickly. Really, you want to be measuring this out. And I want to sew these parts together. Over here, around. This might be too big, but essentially, oh, whoops, I want that. Sorry, I switched that pressure off before, didn't I? Still want that on for now. Yeah, it's huge, that strap. Let's shrink that down. And even just a little bit smaller. So now we start to get this shape. We might want to add more because we want to keep that uplift. And what it is now is it's a process of figuring out how to hold that shape. If I go, I'm just going to lower my particle distance somewhat so that it has a bit more alignment. Yeah, that's nice. Going on here. Oh, that's putting the wrong way around. 1 moment. If I just flip this sewing. There we go, that's better. Just being a little smaller. Oh, a bit too smaller. I might just change this pressure so that -2, but it still has a weight, but it's got a bit more in the chin. Just try draping it down. Let's bring that pressure back up. Yeah. But it is all just about play and being able to use those natural elements. I'm going to try to do another part to this. Yeah, in 5 minutes, and then we can do some questions. I'm going to unarchive. Whoops, I'm going to stop the render and unarchive one of my other petals. And I'm going to do the same here, -10 for the pressure. And let's see. Okay, it's not a success. It doesn't work quite as well in the skirt because what you need to do really is you need to figure out a way to secure this so that you don't have to have the pressure applied, which I'm going to do in just a sec. So I quite like that, the front, that shape it's creating. Let's copy and paste, go around, whoops, let's do it on the other side. Let's flip the normal. Oh, no, not quite the right place. Oh yeah, it's too far. I mean, that's a really cool silhouette already to me. So now all I need to really do is sew these two parts together so that there can be more of a looseness to the fit of the skirt. So
James, just cutting in to let you know that we have 10 minutes left for the class.
Brill. Yeah, I'm just going to wrap this up and then I'm going to see if anyone has any questions. So what you really want to do is figure out a nice way to secure this. And there's like a real variety. Because this is more of a dress, you can sew these lines that overlap here. So I'm going to do a bit of that. To that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find where these points of intersection are, go to the pattern piece, select there, and split. Whoops. And split. Don't forget here. Split. So if I split, then it's giving me a new anchor point, and I can use that as a reference when it comes to the sewing. And if I go around only those two parts, I mean, this is, we kind of need another element really for it to work in terms of a sewing function. But we'll just do this together. And then don't think this will work. Let me just take the pressure off and see. There we go. So it starts to then bring it together, but really what we need is something around the other side. I'm just going to add. I don't think it'll work. I don't think we have time, unfortunately. But really, we want to be able to sew the other side up so that we can also keep it secure and then remove the pressure from the skirt aspect so that it has more of a flow. Oh, wrong page. Okay. Questions. I know that was a bit rushed, but I hope you got the gist at the end. How does everyone find that? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'd love to see. I'd really like to see anything anyone's made. And also, like, yeah, I'm here. I've got like 7 more minutes. So just any general questions as well. They can be specific about this. Yeah, just let me know.
Thank you. That was really good. A question: have you made shoes in Clo before or yet?
So I've not made shoes in Clo. I've made shoes in like Cinema 4D. I'm not. I tend to find other softwares are better for shoes because they have to kind of be a bit harder in their way they work and the way they sit. How come? How come?
Oh, so what I didn't say is that I specialize in footwear. So I make footwear in the real, and then also make them in gravity. But I've always interested in Clo if that was possible too.
I'd say it's possible. It really depends on the shoe. You know, like I think you're going to really struggle to make anything that's got really hard. It's kind of just I find it quite frustrating in Clo. But I think something like Blender or Cinema 4D would be really good for that. Oh, thanks, guys.
Listen, no, thank you.
No worries. Any others? Any others? Okay, cool. I'm glad you liked it. Glad you liked it. I feel like I maybe packed a tiny bit too much and did it a bit slow, but I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoyed it. You'll be able to go over it, so hopefully it's useful. And I do want to see some, so if anyone, great.
We don't have any more questions. I think we're about ready to wrap up the class. And of course, like feel free to post your whatever you made today in this chat, like the 7th cohort chat as well. It would be lovely to see you guys like, show each other your work, kind of like a show and tell moment,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's lovely. And before everyone starts hopping off, if you haven't sent me your ETH address, please do send it forward because we have our onboarding for Lens Protocol next week. Very interesting.
Oh, these are really exciting. Like they're really the start of some interesting shapes. I think it's just a brilliant way to yeah, figure out new forms on the body. Because I think as well, what's really good to note with things like Clo is that it's not physical, and so things you couldn't do in the real world, you can do in this, and you can really play and manipulate the digital aspect of this. Oh, Jessica, you'll get that.
This has been really great. Thank you so much for coming to give us the workshop. I'm sure we all learned a lot today, and it was really, really exciting get to see everyone like produce like live.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool. Honestly, I think you've done really good. I really like it. Nice.
Have you heard about the end of this residency? Basically, we're going to be doing like a in-person event at Reiss London.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so we're looking forward. I think you've put yourself down as a mentor as well for this cohort, right? So
Yeah, I'm totally happy to do that. So if anybody starts making, if anyone wants any particular specific advice, like please just reach out. Because obviously this is like a kind of an idea of a way to explore shape, but also like I do know how to use this kind of in a more technical way as well, in different technical ways and in different methods. So whatever you want to talk about, I guess I can say.
I'll grab socials as well for you. Give me 1 second. Well, thank you so much, and thank you so much
Amazing.
everyone for coming to the class.
Yeah, thank you, and I will you're so welcome. And yeah, so hopefully hear from you soon. And I hope you smash it. Okay, enjoy.